They didn't start as drug dealers. They started as soldiers, elite, trained to hunt, track, and kill. And then they turned those skills on civilians, rivals, and eventually the entire country. Los Zetas weren't just another cartel. They were a weapon that went rogue. Los Zetas began as one of the most dangerous criminal groups in modern Mexican history, and their origin story is what makes them different from every cartel that came before them. In the late 1990s, Mexico's Gulf Cartel was led by Ociel Cardenas Guillen, a brutal trafficker who wanted more than street muscle. He wanted discipline, he wanted fear, and most of all, he wanted soldiers. So he recruited them. Around 30 elite commandos from the Mexican Army's Special Forces became his private army. These men were trained in counterinsurgency, ambush tactics, intelligence gathering, and psychological warfare. Their leader was Arturo Guzman de Sena, known as Z1. Each man took a radio call sign starting with the letter Z. That's where the name came from. From the start, Los Zetas operated differently. While other cartels bribed and intimidated, Los Zetas conquered. They rolled into towns wearing military gear, carrying assault rifles, setting up roadblocks, and executing anyone who resisted. They didn't just sell drugs, they took over entire territories. By the early 2000s, Los Zetas had become the enforcement arm of the Gulf Cartel, eliminating rivals and protecting smuggling routes along the U.S.-Mexico border. But power changes people. And soon, Los Zetas wanted more than a paycheck. After Ociel Cardenas Guillen was arrested in 2003 and later extradited to the United States, the balance of power collapsed. Without him, the alliance between the Gulf Cartel and Los Zetas cracked. By 2010, the split turned into a full-scale war. What followed was one of the bloodiest periods in Mexico's history. Los Zetas expanded aggressively across northeastern and central Mexico. They diversified their crimes far beyond drugs: kidnapping, extortion, oil theft, human trafficking, mass murder. They charged businesses protection fees. They forced migrants to work for them or die. Entire towns were emptied as people fled in fear. One of the most horrifying moments came in August 2010, when 72 migrants, men and women from Central and South America, were kidnapped near San Fernando, Tamaulipas. When they refused to work for Los Zetas, they were executed. Only one survivor escaped to tell the story, and it didn't stop there. In 2011, mass graves were discovered in the same region. Nearly 200 bodies, many believed to be passengers, pulled off buses and murdered. The message was clear. Los Zetas ruled through terror. Unlike older cartels that tried to stay hidden, Los Zetas wanted to be seen. They filmed executions. They left bodies hanging from bridges. They used social media and banners to threaten enemies and the government alike. Fear wasn't a side effect. It was the strategy. Leadership within Los Zetas was unstable and violent. Arturo Guzman de Sena, Z1, was killed by the Mexican military in 2002. His successor, Heriberto Lascano, known as Z3, took the cartel to new levels of brutality and expansion. Lascano was feared even within criminal circles. In 2012, Lascano was killed in a shootout with Mexican Marines. But in a twist that perfectly captured the chaos surrounding Los Zetas, his body was later stolen from a funeral home by armed men, never to be officially recovered. After Lascano's death, leadership passed to Miguel Ángel Trevino Morales, known as Z40, arguably the most violent leader in the group's history. Trevino was notorious for his unpredictable cruelty and love of intimidation. Under him, Los Zetas fractured internally, with factions fighting each other just as viciously as they fought rivals. Trevino was arrested in 2013. His brother Omar Trevino Morales, Z42, took over and was arrested 2 years later. By then, Los Zetas were no longer the unified force they once were. Infighting, relentless military pressure, and defections weakened the cartel. Former Zetas splintered into new groups, including Cartel del Noreste, which continued operating with the same ruthless tactics. But the legacy of Los Zetas remains. They changed the rules of organized crime in Mexico. They militarized cartel violence. They normalized mass killings as a tool of control. And they showed what happens when trained soldiers turn their weapons on the society they were once sworn to protect. Even today, the scars are visible. in abandoned towns, in mass graves, and in families still searching for loved ones who vanished during Los Zetas' reign of terror. Los Zetas may no longer dominate headlines the way they once did, but their influence reshaped the drug war forever. And the fear they created didn't disappear with their leaders, it lingered, spreading into the groups that followed. Because once terror becomes a business model, it doesn't just go away.